are recording.
We are?
Yes, we are.
I always feel better when you verify that, so I make sure I don't say anything inappropriate or just kind of off.
Yeah, that's true.
We have a mysterious guest here, unless you're on the excerpts and you're watching it, then you know already, you see who it is. But for anybody who's listening on their on Spotify or something, we're not going to let anybody know. I got to tell you something.
Yeah.
Raine. You look very nice today. You
Thank
look
you.
beautiful today.
So do you.
Red, yeah. I look. Well, no, okay. That doesn't
You
sound
look beautiful.
masculine.
Well,
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're all beautiful. We're all beautiful.
Yeah, it's okay.
I feel like we have a beautiful group right
we
here.
do have a beautiful group here. Yeah, that consists of, it's almost about the same industry. Yes, no, I can't do that right now. But
don't give it away.
I am, I gotta tell you, I have mixed emotions today.
Okay.
You don't want to know why?
What's going on?
Well, we were supposed to have the Backyard Improv 51 with this mystery guest who was going to be performing there and killing it. He's a fan favorite.
I didn't know what to say when you told me that you were canceling it. Like bummer or upward and onward.
No.
You know what I mean?
Well,
like, what do you like? Do you like me to be where you validate your feelings?
Yeah, console me, because I feel pretty bad that we don't have it.
Yeah,
but
I thought that was a
gonna
bummer.
say, as a runner-up, the next best thing is to be here, hanging out with you, the Xtemporize podcast.
That was quick, Peter, that you pulled this together and that Martin was able...
All right, okay. The cat is out of the bag, and I'm painting a painting of a Siamese cat. So you just let that Siamese cat out of the bag. Martin Rossip, the great sax player, and you play all kinds of instruments. How are you doing, brother?
Great. I'm very happy to be here.
Are you? You know what? He's genuine, this dude.
Oh
He's
my
got
God, I love his smile.
His
oh my
face
God.
is real and everything.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. He has a smiling face.
Now, Martin, where do you live?
Right now, I live in Saratoga.
Right now?
Bay. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So that's a bit
I'm
of a
originally
schlep.
from New York, but now I live in
where in
Northern
New York?
California. Well, I grew up in Queens, moved to Long Island, and then moved to Manhattan.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah. And
How long have you been here?
Since '96.
Okay.
I still consider myself a New Yorker.
Do you?
Yeah. Well,
It's not apparent.
I'm from the same area.
Yeah. Really?
Yes.
Whereabouts?
Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
And I moved here in 1989. Yeah.
There was a big exodus to California around that time.
Okay, yeah.
California was full of energy,
Yes.
great economic prospects for
Totally.
everyone coming here.
Yeah, totally. It's a different time than it is today,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, very cool. Another East Coaster. I love it. Yeah,
Okay.
that's wonderful.
And you're wearing not completely dissimilar colors.
If I knew
so
you
how
were
the
going to wear
heck is
red,
this-
I would not have worn orange.
Do you guys talk
I like
to each
orange and
other?
red together. I
Okay.
think it's very
You're the
dynamic,
same
actually.
pattern, okay, yeah, that's good, and the same thing. Well, anyway, here we are. This is, I think, we just did one Raine with the art, and it didn't get on the Xtemporize channel. It ended up going on the Backyard Improv channel. If I were to include that, I believe this one is number 16. So again, we're happy to have you, brother. You are an incredible sax player, and I know you can elaborate on all the different instruments you actually play, because I know it's more than just that. But man, I just love it. Every time you come and play, whether it was inside the club or now as part of the Backyard Improv, you're a long time. You're a corner piece, brother. You're a corner piece of this whole puzzle. And just one of the nicest people I've ever met, and everybody seems to think so. So if I post something about him or whatnot, everybody's like, "Hey, he's just the greatest guy." So you have a fan club out there. I left him speechless.
If you say so, I've just been blown away by all your nice posts about me. I appreciate it. I'm just humbled to be part of this endeavor that you've put together.
Well, thank you very, very much. And now we have Raine on board, and we have our boy Dougie Clark over there.
Hey, Doug.
That guy does everything. So. Do you do gigs? I guess that's
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
one. So in that immediate area.
Yeah.
you hang
Yeah.
out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Lots of
checked
gigs.
him out on YouTube. He had you played a couple places in that area, right? That you're still playing. I mean, you
Yeah,
play
I-
now.
yeah.
You're very active. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
lucky to get a lot of gigs nearby. So.
Yeah, very cool.
Well, and you know what? It's not just what I do. It's your contributions. It's your contributions. It's his, as well as all the different band leaders, musicians that come and whatnot. So we got to give Bobby Valderrama a little bit of love, because I met Martin through
That's how we
Bobby
met.
Yeah.
as he came into the club as East Side Funk. And
Right,
you're
that's
the
who I saw you
longtime
playing with as
staple
well on
there,
YouTube, yeah.
Incredible, and so thank you, Bobby. Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Because it's because of you, I get to hang out with Martin here today, and again, thank you so much for.
Bobby had a
all
great
you've done.
podcast with you guys.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
I still remember his 3 C's:
Oh, yeah.
community,
Is that
creativity,
See,
compassion.
we have a watcher.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, he came prepared. He did his homework and he knew what he was
had
going to
some
talk
very
about.
pithy comments that
Yes.
stuck with me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you a subscriber as well?
Uh,
Okay, the pressure's on. Okay.
He's
You have
like,
to
I
hit
don't
that
know, am I
subscribe
subscribed or
button.
not?
I
Yeah.
probably have watched most of them, but I don't
Okay,
think
all
I've
right.
subscribed.
Yes.
If that'll help you, I'll click
Yes,
subscribe
please,
button.
in infinite ways. So, Raine.
Yeah.
You saw, and by the way, the very first time I met Raine, which wasn't all that long ago,
Yeah.
okay, was the first time you played. We were playing over at Jerry A's here in Walnut Creek, and that's where you played with Chris Ruiz on drums, Farida Nelson,
Oh, yeah.
and Peter Morgan
Yeah.
on the guitar. And there was a song there, and we were talking about it today because she wasn't sure, but called Love Frequency.
Wait a minute now. Who was on the guitar? I
on,
thought it
on
was
the guitar,
Jason.
Peter Morgan.
Are
No.
you sure?
Yeah. No. So it was Peter Morgan
Okay,
and
I think I'm getting
Farida and
shows
Chris.
mixed up.
Yeah, you may have a show
Okay.
mixed up or something like that, but there's a song called.
Yeah.
They do
Yeah,
all
you're
run
mixed
it
up.
into each other. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I'm right, right? Okay. Well, anyway. Well, that's
Okay.
where you broke out. What is that called? It's not a sax. What's that?
Oh, that was
You were
because
experimenting.
yeah,
with
that
it.
was an iwi. I didn't want to feel left out from all the other electronic players who had these massive pedal boards
Oh,
full
yeah.
of crazy sounds, and
Uh-huh.
and you had given a prompt. You give these very interesting prompts, and okay, pretend you're on a pirate ship, and
Okay.
whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And one of his prompts was, okay, you're in outer space,
Uh-huh.
and
That's right.
the planet
That's
you're
right.
about to crash into, whatever it was. I don't actually remember. But they all were so excited to be able to use their space sounds from the 70s and 80s on their pedal boards that they don't
Yeah.
get a chance to use. And I was just playing my 1964 saxophone, and I didn't have any space sounds. So I brought so the next time I got called to do this, I brought my iwi, which can do all the space sounds. And but I haven't played it before or since.
Great. There was a couple, and I just got nervous as he was talking about this. My foot hit this
oh no.
switch over here, and it turned everything off for a second.
did?
But I quickly, I
Oh
missed
my
a
gosh.
great part of your iwi.
Yeah, it's iwi, electronic wind instrument, EWI.
Are you still messing with it?
No.
Oh, so you just
I
brought it
could
for
fit.
that
you just
occasion.
brought it for that one
I
occasion.
worked for that
experimented
occasion,
on us,
and I
and then-
worked up a couple of patches that I thought would be cool, and
Yeah.
and that's it.
Well, it sounded good that day, and a lot of people liked it. So I don't know if you know much about Raine, and I do this
No.
to you every time.
It's okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
I know you got to repeat yourself. It's
Yeah, I know,
like,
it's okay.
No,
I
I'm
understand.
interested. Tell me your
See,
story.
they're from the same area. I figured
Like,
they
I
would be
want to know how
interested.
you guys met.
Okay.
Well, it was at that show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, so I'll just start, and then I'll
Yeah.
let you take over. So, she was invited by Jane, which is a former member of the Impulse Room, one of the waitresses there, the blonde, and.
That sounds really funny. One of the waitresses, she's a blonde.
Oh,
Because
Be
she,
blind.
yeah, you know, it's like it kind
When
of gives
she's
you a
the only-
caricature of someone that really is not very accurate of Jane, honestly.
What
Because she is this very classy, intelligent, you know. Not that I'm judging what a waitress is, but it just
Okay.
sounded strange.
Or what
And she's like
you
this
describe her.
heart of gold,
Sorry,
very involved
Jane.
in her church, and in she gives so much. She has a
But
heart of
you're not
freaking
giving
gold.
it. Yeah, but wait a minute, I
Yeah.
got a problem with
Anyway.
your description because you're not giving any physical description.
What?
That could be anybody. You're talking character traits. I'm
Yeah.
trying to give a visual of what somebody looks like.
A waitress? She looks
Well,
like a
but-
waitress?
No, I didn't say she looks like. Oh wait, no, we
But
have
you're saying
video.
physical traits.
She was a waitress
At your club,
At
right?
the club.
Yeah.
So now he can realize it wasn't one of the guys in the kitchen.
Oh, I see. Got
You know
it.
what I'm saying? And it
Oh.
wasn't me.
Okay.
And it wasn't. So he gets to narrow this.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I actually have a very good memory of all the waitresses there, and they were all super nice
Yeah,
and very
yeah.
helpful. So I know she must have been one of those nice.
She's a
waitresses.
wonderful, wonderful woman with a big golden heart.
I got you.
Yeah, thank you,
She's
bro.
so
I got you.
giving.
Okay.
And
I'll
anyway,
save
she
you.
was nice enough to
Yeah.
invite me to Peter's show.
Yeah.
And I accepted, and I was really quite impressed with the musical skill of everyone and like how good the show was. I was like, what? I've been missing this. And Peter's performance, I thought he was like a performance artist. I said, he's not just a host. He's not just a producer.
Yeah, well.
And I thought that he was part of the show, really. It wasn't just the musicians, right? And not that that is not enough already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as Jane described, you said, "Hey, Peter, can I bring a friend? She's about 5'7". No, I'm just kidding. Okay. But I said,
She just
well, dark haired.
She's a waitress.
Yeah, she okay. I didn't know what you did, but she said, "I've got a friend, and she works for this magazine called AKR Magazine."
Audio key reviews, yeah.
Audio
AKR.
Key. I always
Yeah,
shorten it.
yeah, and so
because
do I. I mean,
it's
it's too long.
And it's a very popular online magazine.
It's a high-end, it's a high-end audio magazine.
She's
And
editor and
columnist,
contributor
yeah.
and columnist. And
I write a
stuff
column
like
called
that. It's a
Joan
big
of
deal.
Audio and
You
Music.
get a couple million
Yeah.
viewers
Yeah,
in a month.
yeah,
or
it has
whatever it is, so.
Yeah, it's a very artistic magazine, sort of boutique style. It really is for a discerning sort of music listener who uses high-end audio equipment to get the right sound. And it has lots of art in it as well, and lots of very expensive equipment from around the world.
So I told Jane, yes, if there's something in it for me, yes, please bring it. If not, keep her at home.
Did you say that?
No,
Oh.
maybe with my eyes or something
Okay.
like that.
But anyway,
Although
that's how I
think
met
it's
him.
a text, yeah.
That's how I met him, and I asked Jane. I said, "Do you think he would Do you think he would be interested in an interview for the magazine?" Because I thought it would be a great feature. Just what he does here in the Bay Area, that he is so central to bringing people together, great musicians, and producing these shows in a backyard environment. Also, there's nothing like music in outdoors. Nothing, to me, that's like a peak.
We could forget me.
Okay. I should move on now and talk about Martin.
Absolutely.
All right,
I
yeah.
think so. Yeah.
So, Martin, you were performing at that show. That was the first show that I went to, and you were playing sax, and I was sitting very close to you, actually. And so I was very aware of your playing, and I don't think there was a song, first of all, I didn't like in the whole show. But there were particular songs that I loved, and Love Frequency was one of them. But now I realize that I don't know what's going on here.
Oh,
But anyway, whatever song is called Love Frequency on your end,
yes.
I love.
I love that.
But
song.
I have a song also that I recorded with my own phone.
Oh, that you have it. It's labeled differently.
It's labeled Love Frequency, but it's a different song.
Oh, okay, well. Okay.
But I love them both.
All right. Well,
Nonetheless.
Nice.
I really love what you do with your saxophone.
I know I'm not getting the same thing I got before. Of course, part of it is just the nature of that, in that it's so free flowing. But with the wide range of instruments that you bring to each show and the different ways you play each one of them, it's nice, because I know if I'm going to get Martin, I could have had him the show before. It won't sound anything like the show before.
Oh, really?
So, yeah,
Okay.
it's nice because I'm like, what's he going to play next? Which ones is he going to grab? Out of what you bring to the shows, well, maybe let somebody know, when you come to one of the Backyard Improvs, what is the array? I mean, you usually bring a
I
tenor.
usually just bring my tenor, alto, and soprano.
Okay.
And that
But
one
that's
time
enough.
I brought the Iwi. Yeah.
Your tenor, your alto, and your soprano.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I have a sopranino, I have a baritone, I have the
Okay.
clarinet, flute. I could bring a lot of other things, but it gets to be
Yeah,
too much.
Yeah.
And I try to do that just because it helps me to use them all the time. Otherwise, one instrument or another will get out of shape.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
You know what I'd like to know, if it's okay if I ask? Because we've known each other for a few years now, and again, I love it every time I see you. And whenever I spill the beans to a couple people, maybe the homeowners, because they're part of the committee, if you will, and they're like, please just tell me who's playing. I say, normally I don't do that, right? But since you're hosting it at your home, okay, it's Martin Rossip. They're like, yeah, all right, cool. My friends that I invited for the first time are going to have a good time. So we talk, and it's usually like, hey, man, how you doing? How's traffic? How you been? That kind of a thing like that. But I never knew how your whole story started.
Yeah.
Like, when did your fascination or your real love for music come to be? How old were you? I mean, what got you going?
well, I'd like to say I knew from a very early age that I wanted to be a musician, but it's just not true.
Yeah.
My mother told me that I must play an instrument and I can pick clarinet or violin. And there's no choice. And I didn't want to practice. I didn't want to play. And she would always say, one day you'll thank me for this.
Yeah.
And she was right.
Thank
Oh,
you,
wow.
Mom.
So to all the parents out there that are struggling getting their kids to practice,
Play piano and all that, yeah.
keep at it. They will thank you one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how long did it take you before you said thank you? It must have been a decade
Before
or
she
more.
was telling me, you're not going into music as a profession. No, stop.
That's funny.
that came later.
You have to play, but you can't be professional.
Well, so I started at age 8 playing clarinet, being forced to practice, and then when I was I moved to a new high school in 10th grade, and I had, I was into Benny Goodman. I had transcribed a bunch of his solos there, and one day the band leader said to me, "Here, take this." He took a case out of an instrument. "This is a saxophone. Take this home and practice it. We need you in the big band."
Okay.
So I had no idea what the saxophone really was or whether I would like it or not, but he said that we need you and take this home and practice it. His name was Peter Payne.
Oh, wow. That's
Actually,
pretty cool.
I-
You know what his nickname all the time in school was, right? Yeah.
So I really have to thank him for giving me a saxophone and encouraging me, and
Is he still around?
I,
Because thank you, Peter.
well, so about 6 years ago, some magazine interviewed me and they asked me, well, how did you start playing the saxophone? And I said, oh, Peter Payne. And they asked me just what you asked me, are you still in touch with him? So I had not been. And
That's funny.
so I just kind of stalked him on the internet and looked on Facebook, saw where and I saw that he was living in Brooklyn, and he was 93 years old.
Okay.
And but you never know, maybe he passed away.
Sure.
So I found the number for that house, and I said, Peter Payne there? I'm an old student of his, expecting to hear, oh, I'm sorry, he passed away a decade.
Yeah.
But instead she said, oh, hold on, I'll get him.
Ah, nice.
That's awesome. I asked a great question.
You
That led to a
did.
good
I
answer.
did.
Yeah.
And I got to talk to him, and I just thanked him for how influential he was in my life. And because he had gone to Juilliard when he was a clarinet player, and I didn't know from schools, but I thought, well, if he went to Juilliard, so I eventually applied and went there, and didn't really understand that people thought, oh, that's a really hard place to get into.
Yeah.
But I just figured my band teacher did that. He gave me the saxophone, and he could play incredible saxophone, even though he was a clarinet major when he was a kid. And I heard him play a solo on String of Pearls. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. Just, so bluesy and soulful. And but probably that was it. Probably in 10th or 11th grade, I thought saxophone was very cool. I could keep going, or do you?
Well, but I'm kind of stuck on the Juilliard part. I mean, how did you get into that? I mean, what was the submission? I mean, how you made it sound like you just glanced over. It's like, oh, by the way, 1 week I got accepted at MIT, and then next week I'm. Oh yeah. I mean, how did that whole? You must have been great.
Well, what happened was that I had out of high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And so I applied to all the New York State state schools, which you just had to check a box. Okay, which ones of these do you want to go to?
Right.
And they looked at your SAT scores, and mine were pretty good. And so I got into those schools, but then I had a friend who had gone to Oberlin Conservatory, and he was a clarinet player in my high school. And he said, hey, why don't you just come up and check it out? And so I said, bring your clarinet. So I brought my clarinet there. And he said, here, I want you to meet the clarinet teacher here. He's my teacher, but and so he said, oh, play something for me. So I played something for him, and I had not applied to the school. And then about a month later, I'm planning to go to, SUNY Binghamton or something, because I just didn't want to write essays for other college applications. And then I get a letter.
To check the box.
And then I get this letter from the admissions office at Oberlin saying that, Mr. McDonald was very impressed with your playing, and we're highly inclined to accept you, but we would need you to submit an application. So I went to Oberlin for a year, and realized that that was a great place to go. I met a really influential saxophone player that following summer at Cedar Point. But basically, my clarinet teacher said, you can't play saxophone if you're going to study with me. You can only do one thing. And so then I heard about Joe Allard at Juilliard, who was a multi-instrumentalist, played Tuscany. He played the saxophone, the clarinet, bass clarinet at a very, very high level. And so he taught at Juilliard. And so I dropped out of Oberlin. Didn't tell my parents what I was going to do. They were like, you got to pay rent, and you got to get a job.
Wow.
And you're not, they're programming computers in high school. And so at Oberlin, I did this AI project as a first year. And then the second half of the year, they gave me a job as a teaching assistant. And I'm a freshman.
Yeah.
So the only reason I'm mentioning that is because when I got home, the only way I could make some money, which my parents were insistent on, was to program computers. So I got a job in Manhattan, programming computers, and just kind of practiced like crazy my saxophone. So I met a very influential saxophone player, Mark Vinci. He worked at Cedar Point, which is an amusement park there, and I had got a job that summer, and we did the same show 445 times that summer.
Was that mind-numbing? Did you grow to hate whatever those songs were?
5 times a day, 6 times on Saturday. yeah, so that was a good job to have. But basically, most of the day you could just spend practicing.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. Anyway, so I was working in the city, and then I was practicing a lot, and then I auditioned for Juilliard. And finally, when I got in, I told my parents I'd be going back to school the following year. So I took a year off.
And they were cool with that?
They were cool with that. They, yeah, they were cool with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be very diplomatic. Okay,
Yeah.
things move on.
Yeah.
That's all good. That's amazing, because I wouldn't. I mean, that's something you probably remember forever. I mean, you told it like it was yesterday. That's pretty impressive.
How long did you go to Juilliard for?
I went there for 4 years.
Okay.
I got a bachelor's in clarinet. No, a bachelor's in saxophone and then a master's degree in clarinet. Both
Wow.
performance degrees.
Amazing. My goodness.
I went there in my class. Went Marcellus and I. We played in a band there together.
Oh, wow.
We were in the same, English and history class, and it was kind of a good environment to be in.
What made you come to California? I'm sorry,
Well,
I jumped that. Yeah,
That's
because I mean, that jazz scene is so strong over in
that's
on
kind
the
of
East
later
Coast,
on.
you
Good
know.
question.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
sorry.
So I had a big detour in my musical career.
Mhm.
Basically, I wasn't making good money in music.
Hmm.
I was working, but you can't really make a living to live in
Yeah.
Manhattan.
Yeah.
And so I was programming computers.
Hmm.
And then I met my wife to be in 1984,
Hmm.
and she was a recruiter,
Hmm.
headhunter.
Uh-huh.
And so she got me a job with this other company.
Mhm.
And she wouldn't go on a date with me until I agreed to take the job.
Smart woman.
First things first.
I'm kidding.
First things first. She made a $7,000 commission if I took the job. But the dinner was.
Yeah.
Anyway, we just had our 33rd anniversary. We've
Oh,
been together since
congratulations.
'84,
Oh,
so that's
better.
4
Yeah.
years. Yeah,
Congratulations. That's
Yeah.
so beautiful. It's a funny
She's an
story.
awesome lady.
yeah.
Wow.
So that's worked out really, really well.
How many
So
kids?
she's,
I'm sorry, I threw that in there real quick. I forget.
I have 2 kids. My daughter, Alana, my oldest kid, she's 30. She's she got her doctorate of physical therapy. She's a physical
Nice.
therapist. She lives in St. Louis. She's got this incredible perseverance superpower. So she rode her bicycle cross country 3,500 miles.
Well,
She runs marathons. She's like, when she gets something
she's
in her
locked
bed,
in on it.
she doesn't let go. Yeah. My son Max, he's in his second year of medical school.
Mhm.
He's a fantastic drummer. His band got asked to play at the Monterey Jazz Festival.
Oh, good for
Nice.
him.
He's
I
all
love
over
that
you-
event.
He's all over YouTube.
Oh, what's his name?
Max Rossip.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll check
In
it
fact,
out.
the most recent video is the video we made to help him get into medical school.
Oh,
Right.
He's- and I'm playing. My name's not on it, but you'll see me playing Mr. Magic there. He's. We just made a video so that we could give a link for his med school
Right,
application,
right.
so
Oh,
they
that's
see.
very
Oh,
cool.
look what a well-rounded
Yeah,
medical doctor
definitely.
he'll make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's at Penn State, and he's in his second year of medical school. He's also, he said, "Oh, I'm gonna work out." So now he's like massive.
You guys got something in the genes where they get their
Yeah.
sights set on
I'm
something.
very proud of my
Right,
kids.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
both are doing really well. They're launching great. So
That's awesome, man.
I'm fortunate that way.
Yeah, you look like you'd be a good dad. Go ahead.
No, so you moved out here for a job.
Well. So what happened
Mhm.
is that I decided to. I was playing music.
Mhm.
I was making money
Mhm.
programming computers. I met my wife.
Mhm.
I worked for this other company, and there I wrote some software that did very well. This was in the mid '80s,
Mhm.
and I kind of had enough money. I didn't have to work anymore. So, so I took a job on a cruise ship playing saxophone,
Mhm.
and I kept my apartment in Manhattan, and started just doing cruises, just kind of realizing that I could learn whatever I wanted to learn and do what I wanted. So, I decided to become a pilot. I got my fixed wing rating, I got my helicopter rating, then I got a commercial license, and then a couple other ratings. on the cruise ships, I got a scuba diver license rating, a rescue diver.
I see where the kids got
I do too.
Yeah, I was just
You learned how to pilot the ship.
But basically, what that led me to
Anything he does, right?
So what happened was that on the cruise ship, the cruise ships would have the big ship, and then they'd have these excursions, and they'd sell tickets to go on excursions. And one of the excursions were these booze cruises, they would call them, where you get on a little ship, and there's unlimited alcohol, and people drink themselves
Sounds dangerous.
literally to death.
Yeah.
So that happened. Basically, we were in Martinique, and they got off the booze cruise and came back on the ship, and this fellow just kind of collapsed in the hallway. And a whole crowd of people were there. And I was walking by, and I had my crew ID tag on because we had to have our ID on, and his friends like came to me, we called for the doctor an hour ago, he's sick and nothing, we don't know what to do. And it's like, I'm a saxophone player. I don't know what to do either, but I can go to the bridge and tell them that they need the doctor there. And I just felt very powerless, very helpless. I can't help this guy, and he passed away. He died.
Oh, wow.
And no one knew what to do. And so I got very interested in emergencies. Like, what do you do? I don't want that to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
So I got off the ship. I took first aid class. I took a CPR class. And then I started teaching for the Red Cross. I got the instructor certification for that and started teaching. And then I said, oh, well, let me take this a little longer. This is pretty interesting stuff. I took an EMT course. And so I became an emergency medical technician, but I never actually worked in an ambulance. Part of the course said, okay, just go volunteer in an emergency department. They had this thing with St. Vincent's, which is in Greenwich Village in New York. Mm-hmm. And so I started going there as a volunteer. I'm an EMT, and so as part of my course, I have to volunteer. And this one doctor there kind of took me under his wing and said, here's my schedule. When you come, I'll show you lots of cool stuff, but you'll help me get my work done.
Yeah.
So it was this very symbiotic relationship, and it was just fascinating, just seeing a busy, city, urban ER, lots of gunshot, lots of trauma, lots of crazy, the whole panoply of what humans do. Yeah. And in their worst moments, general. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to be that guy, the ER attendant, because he was the manager, he was the master of the shop, and the doctor. Yeah. There's always an attending. There's lots of residents, and there's assistants and technicians, but the ER attending, the MD, is in charge. And so this one doctor, this resident who I was helping with all his work, and he was having me do stuff that I'm sure I wasn't qualified to do, and probably didn't do as well as I should have, but he was having me do all these procedures, and he said, you should just go to medical school. You're really good. You like this stuff. You should do it.
Of course you should.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So
this guy's amazing.
He is.
So I'm already, I've been, working in New York, playing gigs. I had stopped doing computers and looked into, what would it take for me to go to medical school? Because I didn't have a single prerequisite. They don't have organic chemistry at Juilliard.
Yeah.
So
you'd have to do all your prerequisites.
So you have to do that. Yeah. So I did that. Columbia had a post-baccalaureate program in pre-med, and they looked at my transcript. See, at Juilliard, I would get a summer gig, and they'd say, oh, okay, we're going to go on the road, okay, but we're leaving, April 5th. And I said, yeah, but my school doesn't end till, the end of May. And so I would just leave and get incompletes in all my courses and ask. But there it was kind of like, oh, well, you're gigging. Yeah. You got these good gigs. Yeah.
So it's a known there.
So it's known, yeah. So they still let me graduate, but on my transcript,
it looks like incomplete.
It looks, incomplete, right. F's, that kind of stuff. So they looked at Columbia, they looked at that transcript, and they said, forget about it.
Yeah, right.
We're not even going to write a recommendation letter for you
things.
Unless you get, A or A plus in every course. Yeah. Right. And so that's what they said, and that's what I had to do. So so then I went to medical school, I actually got into a lot of all the medical schools I applied to. So so I ended up going to Yale, and
I'm waiting to say he flew to the moon soon. Okay.
and then
I think you should donate sperm.
We did go off the rails a little bit here. Good thing you're talking about it. Yeah,
Don't you appreciate that though?
I think I'll leave this one alone.
But you know what I
You
mean?
probably command a good price.
I'm probably talking too much.
No,
No.
you're perfect. That's fascinating. You got us like, what? Oh my God. See, I was impressed before that I knew.
I
you.
know.
Now I don't feel worthy.
No, I'm
Okay,
thinking
but
that he's
let him
got to
finish his point. Let him-
he's
no.
got to produce more children.
Why? I don't know what's next. He's leaving me hanging. Please carry on.
So I went to New Haven for medical school, and there they require everyone to write a thesis, a doctoral thesis, and publish it. And so my thesis was actually interesting how it came out. So I knew I wanted to do emergency medicine when I went there. So I went to, they have these things called sub-internships where you go to another hospital that's not part of the Yale medical system. And so I went down to Grady in Atlanta, Grady Memorial Hospital, a very, very large emergency department. They had 4 separate emergency rooms. And one incident happened there that really kind of changed me. So I'm still a medical student. I have the short white coat, and I show up for my shifts. They're 12-hour shifts. And one day and I don't know any better, so I walk through the waiting room into the emergency department. And one day, as I'm walking through I spent maybe 6 weeks down there, but one day I walked down there, and this woman just grabs me by the arm. Could you please help us? What's wrong? Well, it's my husband. We've been here a very, very long time. I said, well, what's wrong? He's been shot.
Oh my God.
And so I go, what? Because at Yale, if someone does a gunshot wound, they call a big trauma alert.
Yeah.
They bring down,
So this
all
guy's
the
waiting.
orthopedics. Yeah, he's waiting in the emergency room. So,
oh my goodness.
so I look at him, and he's like holding this big pack of gauze on his thigh.
Mm-hmm.
And he lifts it up, and there's this big bloody wound, this gunshot wound in his thigh, and this
Losing blood. Yeah.
Well, but he's just sitting in the chair with a gunshot wound. So I said, okay, I'm going to go inside and tell them that you're out here and see what we can do, okay? So I go inside, I go to the attending, and I say, hey, there's a guy in the waiting room with a gunshot wound.
Uh-huh.
I said, yeah, I know, he's totally stable, he's been triaged, just relax, don't worry about it, we'll get to him.
Okay. Very cavalier, nonchalant.
Yeah, because, I'm the med student, I'm the low man totem pole.
Mm-hmm.
So I do my 12-hour shift, it's very busy. I go back to where I'm staying. I come back in the next morning, and I see he's still there.
Oh,
He's still waiting. He's got like more gauze piled on top.
Wow.
And
What hospital is this?
Best question ever.
well, it's the county hospital there, so people know they're going to be waiting a long time. So
Yeah,
they
but
come with their whole
geez, the
families
day?
with bags and bags of like groceries and
Oh my God.
blankets to lie down on the floor. It's just total chaos. So so I kind of like skulk in. I didn't want him to see me because I just felt so unable to help him.
Right.
I felt just helpless,
Oh.
and that I couldn't help him.
Mm-mm.
So so the research project I did at Yale, so this is getting back to what I did at Yale. So I did this research project where it would track patients. This is still in the mid-90s. And so computers weren't in ERs. ERs, we just had a dry erase board and say, okay, sprained ankle room 6, belly pain room 4, scalp laceration room 8. That's all it said. And there would be sign out. And one attending would go talk to the other attending, okay, in room 4, we're waiting on their labs there, but I don't know why they've been there so long. You got to check that one out. This one's ready for discharge. This one, we're still waiting for radiology. This one, we called an OB consult on them, and we're still waiting for obstetrics to come down and look. So this is a very haphazard disorganized way. And sometimes they'd say, gee, I don't know what this patient's doing at all.
Right.
You're signing out, you're
Yeah.
going off shift, and a new person is coming on. And it was clearly a very bad way to run an ER. So anyway, so my project was to make a patient tracking system that would keep track of the patients, and when something was off, like, hey, we should have had these labs back 20 minutes ago, it would alert the attending or whoever's responsible for that patient. And so it was really helpful. The thesis was, does this actually move patients through the ER faster? And it does.
Yeah,
It's kind of obvious that how could it possibly not?
Yeah.
But basically, so it won a thesis award, and I got money as a research fellow at Yale, and I see that it's you can see my thesis online,
Wow.
and people have cited it in their studies. So I think although I can't be certain, I never made any money from it. That it's that concept. Someone look at it and say, "Oh, well, this was validated at Yale."
It's being used today.
It's being used
It's foundational.
today.
Yes.
So I hope that's helping people. Anyway, so because of that, I applied for residencies, and my wife was working for Symantec in Connecticut, and they had an office in California, and they were going to move her out, and so I applied to Stanford for residency, and with the residency match, wherever you get accepted is where you have to go. You sign a contract, say, I agree to go wherever I'm accepted. If you've, listed that. So that's what brought me out to California.
Okay.
That's a long-winded story.
No,
it's
it's a
super
great
interesting.
one.
Yeah.
Really super
Wow, that was
interesting.
wild.
Lots of
Yeah.
info.
The best
Yeah.
I've heard.
Yeah. Wow.
Doug, we haven't acknowledged too much Doug here,
Yeah.
but he said it's the best he's ever heard. So
That's the best interview I've heard so far. I'm telling
no,
you.
and it's nothing against anybody else.
No,
They're all
I'm
incredible.
blown
You
away.
asked. I
yes,
feel
no,
like
no,
I should stop talking.
No, it's
Yeah.
perfect.
No.
I'm just afraid to ask him a question because I'm going to feel bad.
Why?
Well, I can't figure out how you managed to continue to play the saxophone
Yeah.
with
yeah.
all the other stuff or music in general.
It's such a fabulous story. I mean, so now here you are in California in Stanford as a doctor,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, as a resident. So I
As a-
completed my emergency medicine residency at Stanford.
At Stanford.
Yeah.
Okay. So fast forward.
I finished the residency. So this was 96. I had to do a project there. That was, so I made their website, their emergency medicine website.
It's amazing.
And then I started working at Valley Med Center because we rotate there as residents, but afterwards they decided to hire me on. I worked at a regional medical center. We had to rotate at San Francisco General. So there, they were, at that time, there was this show called Trauma, Life in the ER. And they would have, on the Learning Channel, and they would have people that would come around and just follow you around for a month and just try to get the most dramatic, heart-wrenching stories they can and put it in this half-hour episode. So I'm in 2 of those episodes as the featured doctor.
Very cool.
It was pretty cool. So you can see that if you Google my name, you'll see Trauma Life in the ER.
Are you still an ER doctor?
I don't know. I haven't been working at it. No.
Oh, okay. Just
No.
wondered. Yeah. Okay.
No.
All right. So that's a whole other question.
I got
Should that be another interview?
I at this rate, because I got to keep this to about an hour and 15 minutes or so. I think
Okay,
so.
well, okay. So wow.
You are a national treasure because like every one of them had published a thesis. Every one of them is doing great work to advance the field. At Juilliard, you were with students like Wynton Marsalis, who's a world class, amazing. And so I'm not certain that you compare yourself to them, but you realize just how high you can go. And so someone like him who is extremely productive. You look at some composers, Mozart, Bach, Duke Ellington, and just look at the volume of things they produce.
Yes.
So, and that's what I was saying about you.
Oh, wow. Nice
You
segue.
have that. You have that art gushing out of you where you have to paint and you create this stuff. And then you have this idea. I want to start this music festival, this like gathering of thing. I just like you conjure it up. And I guarantee if you went to any kind of promotion company and said, "Hey, let's start a music series," they'd say, "Well, okay, give me $2.5 million. I need a marketing guy. I need a venues person. I need a a regulation compliance person. I need, you know,
Yeah.
we got to staff this up, and probably in about 3 years we'll have a series with the kind of volumes that you're talking about here.
And the level and the standard that
And the level,
and the
right,
people
right.
that he attracts and the
and
level of
and it's the
musicality he gets.
force of nature. That's
Yeah.
what you are.
Yeah.
By
A
putting
force
it
of
together.
nature. I really like that.
So I recognize it,
yeah.
and
It's hard not to recognize.
And you don't see it in yourself, maybe, but I see it.
Yeah.
Yes, well said.
Mhm.
I will say the other day, and I know you go on Facebook every now and then, but you don't
No.
spend as much time.
No,
There's a lot of other people.
Well,
No, I
that's
saw-
your
I'm
marketing.
constantly-
I saw your
Right,
post was
right.
there a
Yeah,
week
well-
already. Oh, I didn't see this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But you reposted, or you posted something
Mhm.
that was incredibly nice.
Yeah,
echoing
it was
kind
nice.
of, or
Yeah.
basically saying what it is that you said.
It's-
Now, and I
it's true.
reposted it, which is typically, I wouldn't do, but it's the way that you structured that and the way that you said it, and it's just the idea of creating something from nothing. And I do want to give the love to everybody else, because it's not just me; it's all of you. I could say, man, anybody can do what I do. Anybody could stand there and ramble on about something and then throw the pressure towards you, okay, and then have you create something. It is special though, because from an artistic standpoint, and I'm not saying this just to be nice for the sake of being nice, not just you, but pretty much everybody that's part of this. Every time I describe like a painting or something I've done, or even if it's not relating to the artwork, it's just some random thought that I have and the story behind it, boy, you guys nail it. I mean, you nail it. So when I give you this thing, I mean, are there ever times where I give something and you're like, what the heck?
Probably.
Yeah, I tell me a story or two. I mean, first of all, are there any of them that's? So this is a two-part question. Are there? I don't know how many you've done now. The Backyard Improv is what I'm referring to, and you can go to the YouTube channel and check out Martin and all these other great musicians that do it. You don't get to see me ramble on before that. That part I cut out. You just get to hear the songs, most of them.
Though I would love to have you
Yeah,
that
you
part
gotta
in
include
there.
that.
Yeah.
It was hard because, as you said, there's the one-man show.
Yeah,
Right? It's hard
but
to go.
we gotta
I have
figure
my
out.
boy over here. who else
Between
can,
us
but-
three, we have to
Wow.
figure out how to
Oh,
get that in,
yeah,
because that's such a
love it.
critical part of
Yeah,
it. in
and
my
it's so
opinion.
funny, just
Yeah.
because the truth be known, it's so funny. There are, once in a while, not often, no, but because everybody's vetted, okay?
Mhm.
Is there like a new person that wants to come to the show and just hang out as a guest and watch you and other people? They're like, oh, I've been hearing about this from my friends, this, that, and the other thing. And so then I tell them, here's what to expect. These guys, unscripted, blah, blah, blah. Plus, I'm going to get up there and ramble,
Uh-huh.
So I kind of forewarn them about what's going on. But getting back to the question, or the two-part question is, are any of, I don't know how many you've done, but out of all that you've done, are there any that really stand out to you for one reason or another? And what would that reason be? And what is the thing that you like the best about doing these?
Well, to be honest, I can't listen to them
Oh, you can't. Oh, see.
because of the
You-
self-criticism.
Okay.
I was like,
Wow.
oh my god, that note is so flat. Oh my
Wow.
gosh, this one. Why am I so lost in the mix? I didn't have my settings right. I only hear the
Wow.
errors.
Really?
Wow. Wow.
But we get such a wide range, because I didn't ask you that question. but
Martin.
we've actually asked other people that question.
Yeah, and there are a few people that have a similar answer that can't listen,
Mhm.
and there are people that listen all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
obviously,
try to listen to a few seconds of the sound just to see, oh, okay, next time I gotta less reverb, or
Yeah.
less, I gotta use a different mouthpiece or something like that. I'll try to just kind of get whatever lessons.
But you
I
ever
can.
listen to one of them and go, man, I nailed it there?
Oh no.
no.
You never do
He's
that.
very hard on
Never,
himself.
ever.
He
I
needs to
know,
take-
but
It's
there's
not once.
Bro, there's
No,
got to be a
no,
time where you're like,
you gotta see
I
how-
sounded pretty good on
I'm
that
not gonna
one.
be able to
This
watch
is
this.
deep. This
You
is
can't
deep.
watch this?
No, this is deep. This is very deep.
It's deep.
Yeah, this is self.
It's the
This
self-criticism.
critiquing
Yeah.
is very deep for
It's-
him.
Well, so
And-
you're
but
using
I
that
under-
as a
but-
driver.
But I understand it.
Yeah.
I really do. But I am really
Yeah.
surprised by because of how accomplished you actually are. So like there's a gap there. you
Okay,
know?
so what
But
you're
anyway.
saying is you wouldn't have a frame of reference to say which one was your favorite?
No.
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 All right.
But probably the later ones
Mhm.
where I'm kind of honing in on how to get the sound across and how to structure a solo. Like I used to linger because I like playing. I like hearing the sound. You linger playing, and then you realize, oh, if there's other people here, I guess I should stop.
No, but you are one of the most considerate musicians. They're all considerate. I mean, everybody who's part of this, and there's quite a few of them now. This is real talk. Thank you for asking. Let me explain what that means. And you know, with me, it's all over the place, right? So you may have to remind me of what I was saying right this second ago. Okay. What I mean by considerate is that there's obviously, and you know this better than I do, but for me, observing it for quite a while now, there's cues, right? There's always cues, and they can be either audio cues or they can be the visual cues, and you guys are always looking, when am I going to solo? When am I going to pull, go forward? When am I pulling back? When am I going to fade in? When am I going to fade out? Where's my solo time? And what I'm going to, all these calculations, right, that you have to, on the fly, right? Yeah. Which is probably nice for you because it's probably challenging, right? These other things, they're incredible, but you have a little, not if it's a life or death situation, you don't have time to think about that, but studying and stuff like that can take a while. Here, you got to go just like that, but you'll always look at everybody and like, you want to go now? No. So you're in the middle of the song, right? Yeah. You're gearing up for your thing, but you go around. You want to go? No. Okay, I guess it's me.
I'm not surprised by that. And
it's always like,
actually,
hey, he goes through the list of like, everybody's good. Okay, then I'll go now. So I see all those videos all the time because I do watch them.
Yeah. That's humility as well, He has a tremendous amount of humility.
I'm like, dude, okay, yeah. All right.
Which is a beautiful quality,
I think about what kind of like harmonic sophistication we're going to be able to have with the players we have.
Yeah.
Like certain players, you just know, like you can go really great, like Ben Misterka on guitar, he's a master, and so his harmonics.
Ryan Price on bass.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So certain people have that, and you can like avail yourself of those tools. Okay, I'm going to do some odd harmonies here, and they're going to be able to pick it up. And sometimes you have like pocket players, groove, like the groove is the thing. Yeah. Like get people moving their head, and that's a different type of thing. So just trying to be cognizant of all those different eddies and flow of the show.
And then the other aspect of this is that when I try to process whatever it is I'm saying and doing your best to kind of come there and to start it. Right? So here I am talking for however long I'm talking, saying God knows whatever it is I'm saying, and then I ask you to, all right, Martin, why don't you start this one?
On the floor, right? Like 2 seconds.
Right, okay.
And then you'll say, oh, okay, which one are you going to play? And I say, I don't know yet. Keep talking, I'll know.
Yeah, right. There's no problem. I can ramble on for another minute or two.
So that ER training probably comes in handy, though, because you got to act quick.